Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Edric Show. I am your host, Edric Jerome. This is the place for intelligent conversation with interesting people. Go ahead and hit that subscription button and ring that notification bell, and you'll get notified when I post content each and every week. My guest is award-winning actor, writer, producer, and director Omari Newton. Omari is a versatile Canadian artist known for his role in TV series like Continuum and Blue Mountain State, as well as his work as the voice of the Black Panther in the animated Marvel Universe. His dedication to his craft and his passion for storytelling have made him a respected figure in the entertainment industry. He's here today to discuss a new method of storytelling called microdramas, dramas that are short form videos geared towards viewing on mobile devices. So, Omari, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Let's get into it. So, when I first saw the term microdramas, as someone who was a short film producer and who has an interest in short films, I was curious and I wanted to have you on to talk about it. So, let's start out maybe by you just letting us know what is a microdrama and how did you first discover this new storytelling format?
So, a microdrama is a very, very short form way of storytelling that became popularized on social media. I believe it started off in China, and now they're expanding and spreading across the world. I first became familiar with them a few years ago. I had a student tell me they had an audition for what they called a vertical, and I was like, "What's a vertical? I don't know what you're talking about." And I didn't know what it was, but they just explained to me that there's these very short vertical films because the way that they shoot them, because they're meant for the phone, is with your phone held up vertically. And they said, "I have this audition for this. Do you have any tips?" So I had to kind of familiarize myself with them and watch some of them, and I realized it's just like really, really short form, micro forms of storytelling, and I was fascinated by it.
As an actor and writer and producer who've been on major projects, small projects, what are some of the advantages that you see for microdramas, maybe in terms of budgeting, writing, and project production?
Well, in terms of budgeting, and I've heard interviews with producers of these dramas talk about this, they're way less expensive to produce. Um, if you're telling a story in a 1 or 2 minutes chunk or segment of time, you just don't have to shoot as much, right? And basically, if you do something like this in an episodic format, if you look at a 1 hour drama, right? You look at a show like The Sopranos, for example, one episode of content, it's an hour to shoot. And I know like some of the TV shows I've been on sitcoms that are half-hour sitcoms, and you would basically shoot an episode a week, right? And depending on the scale or scope of a 1 hour drama, it would take even longer. So if you scale that down, so if 1 hour of content or half an hour of content takes a week to film, you can imagine how many episodes of a 1 or 2 minute show you can bang out in the same amount of time. And essentially, if you're shooting it in like a sitcom would be on the same set, your main expense is basically changing the wardrobe of the characters to denote the passage of time. Right. So you can just get a lot more content out and then, of course, monetize it based on views and sell it in individual chunks.
You mentioned that they're geared towards mobile devices, and went out and looked up some stats. And according to Statista, about 97% of the globe's digital population uses a mobile device to access the internet. So, in terms of knowing that that's where people are getting their content, getting their information, getting their movies, whatever they like, and you mentioned a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about the vertical aspect of microdramas, because I know recently even Instagram had switched over to a lot of the vertical. So talk to me about that as well as
Mhm.
people accessing it on their phone.
Yeah, well, I think if you think about how traditional film and TV is shot, right? You're watching it on a wider screen, so you're watching it more in a horizontal format, and it's shot accordingly. But if you're looking at something on your phone like this, it's vertically, right? So when you're setting up your shot, uh, just from an expense standpoint, it's a smaller frame, right? There's way less set deck you have to do, so there's a smaller frame, and people are going to be watching it like this. They're going to be watching it in a smaller device, and it's just a different viewing experience. And you know, some people are really resistant to change because, admittedly, sometimes the quality of the acting or the production isn't the same as what you'd see on like Game of Thrones or a big HBO show, but I just think it's a trend that is unavoidable. People are now viewing their content on their phones, so I try to embrace trends rather than kind of fight against the inevitable.
Another aspect of that is, the audience's attention span. I mean, those 2 and 3 hour epic films are, there's a place for that. But most
Sure.
people watch films now in sections. They'll watch a portion of it on Netflix, they'll hit pause, they'll go do some stuff, they'll come back and watch it again or watch the rest
Mhm.
of it. How do microdramas take advantage of the short attention span of audiences, which is quick, quick, quick? Let's get to the next thing.
I think they really are smart to hop on that trend. I remember I mean, as far back, now it feels far back, but back in the day, if you remember when Vine was a popular social media platform, where it was these very, very quick, short form videos, which made social media stars of people like King Bach, for example, who still is an influencer to this day because of the short form, or TikTok, right? TikTok is these short form videos that lots of people watch. I think that the producers of microdramas just saw where people's attention was going and they created a product to suit the times that we're in right now. So it makes sense. Now, I'm curious to see the next gen of these things where we have more of an evolution in terms of storytelling and writing, maybe production value, maybe the acting. I'd be fascinated to see like what would a Quentin Tarantino produced microdrama look like?
Yeah. And that's actually another question you kind of lit me into, which is character development and storytelling and then telling a narrative in such a short format. While I imagine there's some freedom in that, I think you really have to be a little bit more fine tuned in terms of you got to get right to the story. You got to get right to those characters. So talk to me about
Yeah.
that.
Well, from what I've seen, the style of acting and storytelling leans towards more melodramatic. Like I feel like the ones the small sections, the ones I've seen, I think they live more in the world of like a soap opera, for example, which makes sense, right? If you're trying to get people's attention quickly and have them coming back for more, you need high stakes, you need a story you can drop into immediately, and you need a hook or a cliffhanger to keep people coming back to see what's going to happen next, right? So it sort of trends towards melodrama, and the pace emotionally and visually is quicker than a longer form of storytelling.
With larger productions, with sitcoms, with movies, the elephant in the room is always distribution, right? So where can people go and find these micro dramas? I mean, are they all over the place? Is there a specific place they can go find them? How are people
Mhm.
getting access to them and being able to watch them?
So I mean, they are often posted on social media, like whether you want to or not, you might just come across one on TikTok while you're scrolling. But there are not actually dedicated pages. I don't have it in front of me right now, but there are sites that are like the equivalent of like a Netflix or Prime that are specifically for microdrama, where you can like stream your favorite microdrama shows on specific websites. But most social media, you'll see microdramas that are listed in their on their reels or in their trending because they're becoming so popular.
Have you produced microdramas? And if so, what were some of the things that you wanted to show in a microdrama?
I haven't yet. And I say yet because of course, I work as the head of the acting department at Vancouver Film School and the co-head of the film department at Vancouver Film School. And we try to be innovative and we try to stay current with industry trends, whether it's technology or the content that's being created. And because I'm starting to see actors audition for microdramas, and I've had graduates of our program come back to the school and use our facilities to shoot microdramas, I think it's only a matter of time before we offer workshops or start integrating stuff like this into our curriculum. And one of the best ways to learn is kind of by doing yourself. So I would be very interested and very curious to produce my own one day.
I want to come back in a minute and talk about your role with Vancouver's Film School. But before I do that, in researching you and learning about you for the show, you have a very varied and diverse and wide career. You've been in a number of
Oh,
projects from
thanks.
films. So where did the acting bug, the entertainment producing bug, where did that come
Mhm.
from? How did that get inside of you?
Mhm.
And how did you choose to take this path of creativity?
It's a strange thing because I don't have any like actors in my family. My mom, my dad aren't actors, but I'm really, really blessed. I had parents who basically were like, just be happy. They wanted me to get a degree in something, so I did a degree in communication studies. But from a young age, they were just like, just do whatever makes you happy. Get a degree in whatever you want. I never had pressure to do anything. And um, the origin story, if you will, when I was a kid, up until the third grade, I was born with polyps on my vocal cords, something that like singers get sometimes if they strain their voice. So I had a really raspy voice when I was a kid, and I would lose my voice often. So I literally like was one of those kids who talked like this. It was really, really strange, right? And I actually used to get bullied and teased. They nicknamed me horse mouth, like Horse, and I used to get teased and bullied for having this weird voice because kids can be mean, right? And I remember I always loved drama and wanted to be in the school plays and stuff. I would do like my church plays, but because of my voice, I would get like the non-speaking part. Like I remember being like the back end of the caterpillar when we did Alice in Wonderland. So I didn't have any lines. I was just like but I love being on stage, right? It was one of my favorite things. So then after I had this surgery and my voice cleared up, it was like this whole world was unlocked to me. And I'd spent hours because I was bullied and I had this weird voice watching cartoons and trying to do voices of characters I saw in cartoons. So I had all these like skills built up, and then when my voice was cleared, it was like this superpower was unlocked to perform. So that's how it started.
Speaking of superpower, you are part of the Marvel Universe. Tell me about being part of that global brand franchise, and how does it feel to be, associated with such a large footprint in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. And to this day, it's voicing the Black Panther for a number of different Marvel projects is still the credit on my resume I'm most proud of. I was a bit of a comic book nerd when I was younger. I used to read, Uncanny X-Men and Spider-Man and Avengers, and of course, there weren't many black superheroes back in the day when I started reading comic books. So people like, the Black Green Lantern or Blade or Black Panther were heroes because diversity is important because when we see people who look like us, we see ourselves in those characters. So uh, I was quite emotional when my agent called me. I think this the first time I played the role, I believe, was 2009 or 2010. But I got really emotional when I booked the role because it was like a childhood dream come true. And it's interesting. I started voicing Black Panther before the movie came out. So before Chadwick Boseman, before and it's fascinating to see at the time fellow nerds knew how cool that character was, and it's cool now that more people know about the character because of the amazing job the late great Chadwick Boseman did. It's just an even more iconic credit to have on the resume, so I feel really blessed to have had that opportunity.
As you mentioned earlier, you are, department head of acting for film and television at the Vancouver Film School. Tell me about the film school, what its goals and mission and aims are, and how you became involved in being such a force in the school.
Yeah, well, so Vancouver Film School was founded in 1987, and James Griffin, who's still the owner to this day, had this vision to create a practical production-based film school where we weren't learning film theory. It wasn't an academic thing. We were training people to be artists and to go work in the industry. And at the time when the school was founded, it was just a film school. It has now evolved and expanded to the point where we have a film department with 5 different specialization options. We have a sound department. We have an acting department, animation, 3D animation, classical animation, basically anything that you want to do or learn within the entertainment industry, you can come to Vancouver Film School to get training to do so. And education has always been a passion of mine, and it's just for whatever reason I've always had an aptitude for sort of expressing from transferring my enthusiasm for stuff that I love to other people, which I think is what good education is. So I started teaching at Vancouver Film School in 2015. And then I started working there full time about 2 years ago. And I was very, very fortunate. I got promoted to the head of the acting department and then promoted again to the co-head of the film department. And the vision that we're trying to bring is just kind of bringing industry into the school and training the future professionals and collaborators of tomorrow.
And I mean, and being in Vancouver, I mean, that's a kind of a hub for production, right? For a lot of entertainment shows that produce up their films. So it's kind of right in line with that vision as well, I would think.
Yeah, Vancouver has the nickname of Hollywood North because I believe it's either number one or number two in North America in terms of film and TV production. It's not uncommon to quite literally look out of the window and see major projects filming across the street. It happens quite a bit.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention your theatrical piece, Sal Capone, and the
Oh,
accolades you received for that, because it's rooted in hip hop. And as you can see, I'm a fan of hip hop. I got Dilla on the wall. I got Run DMC.
amazing.
I got Tribe back there. Um,
Respect.
Talk to me about hip hop, your influences, and
Hmm.
how hip hop has shaped you as an artist.
It's a great question. I can share with you the to this day, I think the most impactful work of art for me was Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. I saw that when I was young. I have really cool progressive parents who recognized this was an important film. And I saw Do the Right Thing when I was a young man. And that's what introduced me to hip hop music, really. Like I heard Public Enemy. And I also had a really cool uncle who bought me Run DMC's Tougher Than Leather and LL Cool J's Radio. This is when you had to like when stuff came out in New York before it did. I grew up in Montreal. So I had this cool uncle who would go to New York and come back with these cassettes of the latest hip hop, and I would listen to them. So I've been a hip hop fan quite literally since I was like 6 years old, right? And because Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing was this progressive film that talked about themes of social justice using hip hop, I've always had this idea that like art and activism and politics were always married. So that was my foundation as an artist, and it's been sort of my guiding light as a creative, just sort of mixing the two.
So what's next for Omari Newton? Where can we see you next?
Well, a couple things. I'm very blessed. I'm currently directing a production of Miracle on 34th Street at the Arts Club Theater. It's in Vancouver. We open actually on Wednesday, and it runs until end of December, and if it gets extended until the first week of January. So that's been very exciting. Also, Vancouver Film School this weekend we have a Christmas movie making magic workshop. So on Friday evening, Ron Oliver, who's known as the King of Christmas for the amount of Christmas things he's directed, I'll be doing a Q&A with Ron Oliver at the Vancouver Film School campus. And then we have Michael Nankin and Michelle Harrison, who people might know. She plays the mom on the CW show The Flash, and she's also the lead in my play, actually, Miracle on 34th Street. She's a friend of mine. So they'll be on a panel talking about working in holiday movies and working in Christmas movies. And people can sign up and learn from these professionals and take part in this weekend workshop as either a writer, an actor, or a director and learn how to make holiday films. So that's coming up this weekend.
Nice, nice. If people want more information about you or Vancouver Film School, where can they go?
So for me, it's just at Omari Akil Newton. That's my Instagram, and they can also find me on YouTube, just Omari Newton, vfs.edu. So if people want to learn more about Vancouver Film School, they just go to vfs.edu. And all the information that I talked about, the workshops this weekend, our various programs, you can find all the access you need there, or just reach out to me on social media. I'm happy to answer questions.
Outstanding. Well, Amari, I know you're busy, especially if you're producing a play, so I know you got to get back to. It's always a lot of work, but I do thank you for coming on the Edric Show today and sharing your insights on this new trend of microdramas. I think it's going to be something people should be interested in, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
Oh, the pleasure's mine, honestly. And thank you. It was a super like well-researched, fun conversation to have. So I really appreciate it.
I appreciate that. It's my tagline: intelligent conversation with interesting people, and I take that serious. So, thank you so
Nice.
much. This has been another edition of the Edric Show. My guest has been award-winning actor, writer, producer Omari Newton. As promised, this is the place for intelligent conversation with interesting people. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. You'll get notified when I post content each and every week. I want to thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you on the next episode.